Today on Volvo Rescue, well, you can already see the dashboard's complete, but we have another thing. Door panels. It's not supposed to look like that. And this, what is this? No. It's the next day now, and I just want to give you an update on how nice these feel. They are great. So much better than they were using the first bottle, as I keep talking bad about it. I'm going to add another coat of lotion to them, and that's really going to help more. What do I have to lose? Because we're getting to a point where things are coming back together. I'm waiting on VP Auto Parts for the transmission bearings and the seat belts, which is one item that's keeping the interior from coming back together. You see my clamps here on the door. They are holding the inside trim piece. And it's that white vinyl that's real crispity, crunchity, but not peanut buttery. And unfortunately, it doesn't fit all the way up. It seems like it's kind of shrunk, but I put it back to the original location and over here as well. Now the installation of that piece, a little tricky because it requires you to flip up the gasket, which thankfully was pliable. It wasn't completely dried out. There was a section of this rear gasket, and you can't see it unless you really look for it, but now you see it, and now you'll not unsee it. It's right there. What was going on with that section was this crumbly bit here was taking up the gap there. My theory is that these dried up butyl bits here were put in because the gasket was actually shrunk and they just needed to fill in the gap. For whatever reason, there was a gap, okay? I could probably do the door panels in the meantime. I got some double-sided tape so that I can install where you see the butyl putty around the perimeter of the bottom of the door is where a plastic went. Now, it was windy a couple weeks ago. Oh, looks like it happened again. And my neighbor's bin tipped over, but it was facing me. And I was like, oh man, all of the heavy-duty plastic from her mattress purchase is going to blow out into the street. It'd be a shame if... Oh, wait a second. Heavy-duty plastic. Don't mind if I do. So there we go. I'm repurposing someone else's garbage. I will begin the dashboard reassembly. As far as radio goes, we've got the radio, and it has one speaker in the dash, and it will have a second speaker here in the rear, but there is also the option to have those larger speakers, which were the Jensens, because I like that they're complete, and Jensen just makes me think of the P1800s that were built in the Jensen factory in the UK up until 1964, or thereabouts. I'm no historian, but the original speaker is one hole here, and I have my carpet cut out for the rear shelf. Here's the bottom of the parcel shelf. You see the square or rectangular cutouts there for the rear headrests, which were an option. I know the TE cars had them in perhaps other parts of Europe, but I haven't seen any American 164s with those. But the foam is okay in this piece, and the center speaker hole is there. The rear panels are kind of yellowish, but it's the same yellowish as the headliner, so I'm not gonna complain about that. The strange bit is when you do buy a new headliner, it may not be the right color of faded yellowish, or perhaps it is. We'll see. But I think VP's pretty good about matching a lot of OEM colors. The priority is to have it working originally, and when it comes to my own personal entertainment, sometimes the sound of the engine and the windows down is enough that you don't actually need some tunage. But on those longer road trips, and I sure do hope to make one later this summer, I'll just stick to my headphones. The good news of one mirror coming out with the glass is that I could see the inner mechanisms here and then figure out exactly where to apply oil so that I could have the dimmer function working well on the second car. Here's another idea of how it looks. It really just pops the lens ever so slightly. Fascinating, but the other mirror is, well, it's woefully worn out as well. I don't know what to do about cleaning it because as soon as you put some pressure to it, it does this. Just like we saw with the grab handles. I'm sure I'll get another mirror in the future. But one of my favorite discoveries of this car was this beautiful turquoise earring. How cool is that? Really enjoy finding little things like that. I wish there was a second one, but alas, it's like a little mascot stone for the vehicle. All right, I have talked enough. Let's get back to work. It's another day, another storm coming up. I love this southwestern weather for that very reason. Enjoy it while I work and clean. One problem that I've had with zinc-plated hardware when it comes to restorations is it's just not quite original. It's not the original plating of the steel screws or the nickel or whatever other options, the blend that they may have used on that hardware. It's kind of like saying, these wheels are silver. This is what Volvo silver wheels look like. And then you go and you buy silver paint. And it's just not the same thing. Doesn't even look period correct. It just looks like a respray. That's kind of what I'm getting at. These are the things you think about when you're going for originality in cars. I thought cleaning the trunk mat was gonna be 5 minutes tops, just to, because I've already wiped it once before using the tub of towels. So I wanted to get the carpet into the rear, but then I'm probably 40 minutes into it and it just won't stop. Oh my goodness, this thing is, I don't know what's going on. So I started with easy, light stuff and then kept going up and up and up in my chemicals. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, oh, you're melting. There is some sort of chemicalized oiled plastic blend that is, it's either a layer of the mat or it is caked on. It looks a little bit like when gasoline fumes mix with rubber, because this is, you know, the underside of the mat. So this would be at the top of the oh, that's the shape we see. That's all paint from the gas tank. Well, you saw it here first, folks. A live discovery on the show. We have a breaking news. Paint can become rubber and mix with fumes to make a smelly kind of black goo. Can't be cleaned with anything, so best of luck to anybody trying to do this. You might just be better off replacing the whole thing or painting it over. Well, knowing what this is, I think I can approach it with something a little more aggressive and then go back to cleaning, because it was just not working. All right, you carpet-bagging northerners, here's what we've got. A carpet in the trunk, and it's weighed down sufficiently. There are two areas in which I'm compromising slightly, but need to make bends, and you see the clamps there. This side here, I'm noticing, you know, the car's pretty symmetrical between left and right side and the rear. It's got two butt cheeks is what I'm getting at. So butt cheek number 2, with the simple whoosh of a magic wand, could be a second spare tire well. If I do end up with a flat on the larger wheel, I might need to have 2 spares to put, like on the rear axle, for example, since, you know, the front and rears will be all different. Otherwise, I think it looks pretty good. That's a nice little anchor, too, for how far over that needs to sit. I will redo the wood panel, but not at this time. That's something I can take care of over in California. The stitch is made and the glue is drying on the edge seam sealer. Hopefully these marks that I made for the stitching for those little bends were correct and we don't have to redo anything. Everything's going well and I'm calling it a night. Oh, it's, I don't know, 12:30? See you tomorrow. Like, it's a steel crankshaft. When they started making these engines in the early 60s, it made it sound like it was a big deal. I just never knew that they were making cast.
Yeah, most of them are typically cast, unless, you know, someone like Volvo, some of these foreign ones, they use steel and then, like, you know.
That's all their parts, but look at these puppies.
Oh, no, you're good. Did.
Well, I'm back at Lowe's, and I just want to report that they honored the return of the Vyman leather product. I actually came in and was like, look, I did the job, used the whole bottle on my interior. 2 days later, Yep. 2 days later, it felt worse than when I started. Then I had to go ahead and do the whole job over using Lexol. Cool, you honor the return? And they said, sure. And look at that, they've actually got Lexol here today, but this is a all-in-one. But I'll tell you what, that lady was not thrilled at my request. She was like, oh, I guess we'll do it, after asking management, but it's all good now. There's no bumper to put my foot on it. It's time for another update. And what's going on, everybody? I just want to say thanks again for joining. Another episode's underway. We're, well into the 30s now with this show. I'm not quite there myself, but it's getting close. The last couple of days of work here have not been very productive. And by that, I mean distractions, other things have come up. There's a 240 wagon that came up for sale with the manual transmission, a couple $100, and I was gonna go see that with Nick. There goes a whole day because the plans got canceled, but you already kind of put on your going to town clothes and your fancy red shoes. And then the following day was just hanging out with Soren and helping him get the truck back on the road, and the thing is all ready to go. Also, I got a call on another 240 that I have been interested in purchasing for 4 years now, and that's probably the longest I've chased a car. The guy called me and he's like, yeah, I'm willing to negotiate a lower price, which is very out of character for him. So I'm really excited to show you that one. Also a wagon, but here's the kicker. 1975, the very first year of the 240. At the time of you watching this, I will have it in my possession. Today I'm just gonna silence my phone, keep those distractions to a minimum, and rock and roll on this baby right here. Hopefully at the end of this workday, the interior will be more or less put together. Yeah, that's doable. I bought these pads, and they are gonna go here where the rollers for the glass went. Just gonna put some glue and clamp down on there. I will use a glue that is made by the Goop company, and that's what I used to glue the trim as well. Those felt pads will actually stick out less than the rollers, but they will add some good protection to keep the glass from getting scratched by the plastic. You guys want to know something funny? This ball bearing here for the transmission, VP was like, we can't find it. We just got 8 pallets and it's going to take a while to get them. And so I ordered it from another company, Classic Volvo Restoration. It costs $10 more. That's fine. And guess where it ships from? VP Auto Parts, right there in North Charleston, South Carolina. CVR is from Wyoming. And so I called them. I was like, how is it that they had this ball bearing and you don't? And they're like, well, there's 8 of them. We can't find them yet. They're not on the shelves, but they're in the warehouse. And I guess one of them was just ready because we did a drop ship for them. All right. Anyway, it's here. This has to stay like this for 24 hours. So looks like I'm doing 1 door per day. Slowly putting the dashboard back together. I got a little spot of bad news. This corner couldn't be saved. Bada boom, baby. Look at this aluminum plate, just gonna fit right there. Some of the edges were lifting, so I put a little super glue in there. And kind of like applying a screen protector to your phone. Bubbles? Anyway, this whole left side here just is a separate piece. That's cool. You know what needs to happen now. Okay, a couple of things. I gotta catch you up on what's been going on today. First of all, I love my horsehair brush. This has been very good for the plastic panels. It's gentle, but it also suds up enough that it can get into these pores in the texture. Second of all, I have had so many distractions today that you guys can't even see what I'm doing, because I feel like every time I pick up the phone, it's another person going, hey, can you do this and that and help me here and there? Phone calls from everyone around the country. Soren had 2 car problems, 2 different cars, the truck and the S60R. I feel bad for him, but you know, I'm there as a friend. And then I helped my father with some furniture from Amazon. Anyway, I would show you, but I'm gonna make you wait a few more hours. Things are going well, and I need to keep this momentum up, okay? We'll see you soon. As you saw in the time lapse, I made a vapor guard, moisture guard, vapor barrier. Takes forever. All these little connecting details. Some of the holes weren't right on the little nuts up top. Look at that, we have a mirror. And there's a plug down here, which is just something I got from the 74E at the junkyard. It fits nicely there. I'll probably have to paint something, maybe get a better kind of plug, but really, it's too bad that there's a second mirror hole, but it's too good that the first one has exactly the right bolt pattern for the original mirror. This is a brand new mirror, and I like it. It's shiny. I love those door pockets down there. Okay, that's a nice solid close. Inside the car, everything is ready for the gauge cluster to go in, which means all of my switches are in. The controls for the heater are in. The ashtray has been repainted, and it's in. Just 3 plugs on the back of the gauge cluster. Tomorrow I'll get back to cleaning up the rest of the handles. I want to make sure that these are all repainted and look pretty. And here's some more body plugs from the junkyard car. Always get plugs. It's just grommets and plugs. You can't go wrong with that stuff. All of the handles in this car were unbroken with the little plastic inside, and that's really cool. But I want to clean up these guys, pick the best ones, the same way I did with all these little buttons and knobs and everything. The chrome nuts and the aluminum bezels. The plastic bezel on this one is the only one that's plastic, and that's quite surprising. Don't know why, but one of them was even broken. It's a weird thing with that switch. It almost looks like a dealer option or something. Slowly coming together. She's a car once more. Thanks for sticking around. This is the part that gets a little tedious. Inspection. You want to find out which parts are worth keeping and which parts are going in the parts car. And then I clean some more. And then I paint some. And after more cleaning and painting, I do some cleaning. And then a little protecting. Because we want it to be able to stay this flexible for a couple more decades. And then we can't forget a little lubricating. All right, now that all of our ducks are in a row, we can start putting this back together. Consensus is in. The handle is going to face this direction, at least for the front doors. I can't be sure on the rear, but I think I'll match them when it's in the fully rolled up position. And I think the reason for that is it needs to be away from your knees, because with the Amazon, it seems like the downward position would hit your leg. This is kind of what it looks like when it's all put together. However, the open end of the clip goes down toward the winding handle like that. And the reason for this easy orientation is when you have this all assembled, the easiest way to remove the handle is you push the handle down this way so that it opens up the gap a little bit, and then push down on that and it will expand the clip, and then the handle pops out. You don't need to go in there with a special tool like you did with the earlier cars, and that makes it much easier. Even in my earlier video I was like, yeah, just grab the tool and pull the pick out, but I'm like, no, now that I've read the green books, they just say push in on the plastic spacer and then down, and it will undo the clip. Really cool design. That looks good, so let's just try this. Huh. She's in. This door is finished. Still makes a little bit of noise, but it's quite nice. This is great, we're getting there. Gosh, everything looks so good too. I cannot wait to get my friends in here. It fits all of them at once. I'm really happy that I have these manuals around because there's a lot of stuff I would be guessing on, and it seems that a good catchphrase for this is, when in doubt, read about. Three coats, or I guess 3 passes with the rubbing compound on these sill plates, and then 1 with wax. And it really helps to kind of improve the appearance of them, but it didn't really get a lot of the stubborn, caked on bits out. The good thing about reusing the ones that came from the car originally is that all the holes line up nicely. I don't expect much variation between the cars, but with the 122s, especially the 2 doors, those long sill plates, oh boy, sometimes you just gotta make new holes, and that always hurts. So it could also just be from restoring those pieces that they do change the shape a little bit, get stretched here or shrunk there. Aluminum's fickle. It got real dirty as I would make passes with it, with the rubbing compound, even just by hand, you know, as you start rubbing it in, it's like, wow, it turns black immediately. The seat belt is in. It's all OEM locations and stuff. I actually haven't tightened this yet, so I should remember to do that. And it took forever because I had to unreel the whole thing from the mechanism and get to the bottom piece, which eventually lets me remove the belt, flip it over, and put it back, because all of that, just because this tag was showing the belt was kind of on the wrong side. I like these seatbelts a lot from VP Auto Parts. I've used them. This will be the 3rd car I've put them in, and it's just a really beautiful belt. It has the gyroscope lock, and in this car, it is a direct fitment inside of the box in there. It's beautiful because for $100 a side, you have peace of mind that your belts are up to code. They're not going to rip in case of an accident. Yeah, so this is great. Also, very proud of my carpet work here. It seems to have really paid off. Still no glue and no staples and no steam used. It's just all fitting over itself quite nicely, I might add. It's coming together, folks. Oh boy, it's been a long day. I had an early start and we're gonna have a late night again. Interior's together. I think for the last time. I don't plan on removing any of the carpet pieces from here on out. I still need to cut the floor mats to shape, but check it out. Center console, center carpet piece could get some padding to get rid of the hump. It's a little more severe on the passenger side, but it hasn't sat out in the sun yet to bake and kind of settle in. But I don't think it'll really change that much, to be honest. So here's the dash. It's ready. Instruments are in, all new bulbs. The sills are in. Carpets, seat belts, and the rear's ready for those plates to get welded in. Unfortunately, couldn't use my factory center buckles, but I got a long enough bolt in there that it's gonna work out. But you know, with the seat belts disconnected, those things will just flop forward. I'll have to see if they need adjustment once the seats are in, which is probably the next step. Air conditioning stuff under the dash might require me to leave the seats out for a little longer, but I don't think I'm gonna do air conditioning on this round. I think I'll get to that next month. Because I want her driving under her own power, so we gotta get ready for the engine.